everyone. So we are just about 1 minute into our session. So I'm just gonna give some time for persons to come in. But just so you know, my name is Rochelle James and I'm your host today for BestFit Fridays. This is going to be once per month, starting this month. And I'll be advertising here on Instagram and on LinkedIn so that you can join. Leading up to the session, you feel free to share your questions, any questions you have related to human resources, any questions you have related to your future and current job searches. I am more than happy to answer them. So as we get started today, the first question I have is from one person who wrote, why is it that employers think you are unstable if you only spent a year at your last job? Thank you so much for sending in that question. So I'm gonna start off with what's on your job application. What did you put in your resume and how did you describe it? Why were you at that last job for only a year and what did you achieve while there? It's not that recruiters believe that you're unstable, but when you only spend a short period of time at each job opportunity, they start to think, is it that you're going to come in, they're going to invest a lot of time and money recruiting and training you, then to find out later on that you are no longer interested in staying on board. Those things can be costly for a recruiter. So it's not that they believe you're unstable, it's just that they're worried about their investment. So when you're going into that job interview or when you're applying, be clear on what it is that you achieved while you were there. A lot of persons who only spend a year at a particular job are spending a year there because they were on a contract or it was a project and the project came to an end. Well, those are things that you need to explain clearly in your resume. And again, don't be too deterred. If the recruiter thinks you're unstable, then that's probably not somewhere that you want to be working. I'm going to move to my next question now. And this one is very interesting. I went to an interview recently and shared some ideas with the company on how to improve the business and increase profits. I did not get the job, but a friend of mine who works there tells me that they're implementing my ideas. Wow. What can I do? Is this right? And can they do that? So, first off, no, it's not right. It's very, very wrong. Unfortunately, they can do this. A lot of times when persons go into interviews, they present their 90-day plan or some ideas on how to improve the business. And they'll present this on a printed document or in a presentation that you'll share with the recruiter. I encourage you and caution you, once you've shared this information before leaving that interview, take it back. If you've shared it on a sheet of paper, ask back for it and let them know in the interview that these are your ideas which you are happy to implement if you're selected for the role. However, they are your intellectual property, and it's okay to say something like that. It is unethical and wrong for them to do so, but some companies actually do take your ideas and run with it, even though they know they're not going to hire you. There's no going around it, but be careful of those forms that you sign up at the beginning of the interview. There are recruitment documents that sometimes say that the information you share during the interview is information that will be used by the recruitment agency or the hiring company. Be very careful the information that you put out there, because there's no recourse or reprieve for you as an employee if it is that they have used your ideas and they're not going to pay you for it or give you any credit. The next question, and this is probably the one that has me most excited to respond to. The next one says, why don't Caribbean employers like to post salaries when they advertise jobs? I recently applied for a job and the recruiter was tight-lipped about the salary offer. I shared my salary expectations, went through a very long, grueling recruitment process, and then when it came to the end, they gave me an offer that was way below market value. I felt like I wasted my time. Why would they do this? I feel your pain, and that's very sad, and it often happens. In North America and other parts of the world, when persons post job opportunities, they usually post not just a summary of the job, but a detailed job description in the ad, and they also post the salary. And if there's not a set salary, they post the salary range, which means that there's room for negotiation, or they may be bringing you in based on qualifications. Unfortunately, in the Caribbean, recruiters are not so. We tend to be more secretive about salaries when it comes to the recruitment process, and that's not something I subscribe to. I don't agree with it, because when you share the salary information and all the details of the job up front, it's likely that the person that you're trying to recruit is going to be upfront about their capabilities as well, and you won't find yourself in a situation where you've hired this person, they come into the job and they're shocked by all the work that's before them, and they feel like they've undersold themselves, or they came in at a salary that the job is worth way more than what they're getting paid, and you have a disgruntled employee. You find that your staff turnover is going to be very high in those situations. If it is that you're applying for a job and you find from the onset that they're not willing to share what the salary is, then I suggest you be very upfront, like this person was in their question, and tell them straight up that based on what you've seen of the job, what they're expecting of you, there's no way that you can take up this opportunity for less than this figure. And they're going to ask you probably in an application form or during the interview. And don't compromise. If you know that you can't do this job for anything less than $20, do not take up the job, because I can guarantee you that the stress and the pressures of it are going to make you want to leave very soon after starting there, and you're only doing yourself a disservice by underselling. In terms of Caribbean culture though, it's not going to be likely that it's going to change anytime soon. If you even check out Caribbean jobs, most of the jobs posted there, no salary information is stated. But if you go to sites like Glassdoor, the salary information is there and it is fully available. Thanks for that, Anna. It is a mental health issue, because the stress involved in the job after you get there, knowing that the money is not enough, it doesn't end. One thing that I'll share also, when you look at a job description, you can tell if the company isn't sure what the job is about, and probably that's why they haven't posted the job information. So for example, you look at a job ad and there is a very long position summary. However, the details and the key deliverables are not, you only have like a few or 3, 4, 5. That means they don't even have a job description ready for you yet. So you're going to be creating the role when you get there. Be very careful of those jobs and do your own research. Know what you're worth and know what the market is like out there. There are a lot of platforms where you can find out what the salary information is for specific jobs, and we're moving into a space now where that information is accessible. In the Caribbean, we tend to be a little more private. So if a job was posted for a project manager who was getting 2.5 million, and you're going into this role, now everybody knows that you got 2.5 million. Who cares? You're getting your 2.5 million. So be happy. So do your research before you apply for these jobs and you go for these opportunities. I'm getting a question here. Should I be concerned about job descriptions that have any other duties assigned? It depends. If the duties assigned is a very short list and then it is ended by saying any other duties assigned, that means you're going to be a workhorse. That is just my layman opinion and my experience. Be very, very cautious of those job opportunities and ask for a detailed outline of the role. A job description before you accept a job offer is crucial, because the moment you accept that job offer, yes, you can reject it, but if you don't have a job description in hand, you're signing blind. You're committing to doing work that you already don't know about. I have another comment here from Andre, saying he's always shied away from asking salary questions. Don't shy away from asking salary questions. Be direct about it, because your job should also support your quality of life. When you're in an interview and that question comes, say that you're open to discussing and negotiating the salary. What is critical is for you to see what the job description is and have a full picture of what the expectations involved in the role are, and then you can see what the salary is. Remember also though that salary and benefits make up your package. So the salary might not be fantastic, but the benefits that come with the job make the difference. So when you're making that decision, calculate everything, including the smaller things in your expense list that will make the job make you happy. So if it's a high stress job, then you need to know that you're probably going to be doing a back massage or having a spa day every now and then. You need to know what the cost of that is going to be and work it in there. Or if it's a situation where the job requires you to spend a lot of sleepless nights, then that means the vacation package better be very good. You shouldn't be looking at anything less than 20 days vacation if it's a job that requires you to be on call 24/7, right? So look carefully at what the benefits package is like for the job opportunity that you're looking at. Any other questions, please feel free to post them. Any comments, I'm happy to respond to them right now. The other thing that I want to point out is what you'll find is that a recruiter will be hesitant to post the salary if it is that they're going to be paying you based on your qualifications, and we do a lot of that in the Caribbean. So you might come in and you don't have the academic qualifications, but when they speak to you in the interview, you are just the best person for the role, and they're willing to hire you, but they have a cap on how much they're able to pay you because of your academic qualifications. That's not something that I think any employee in 2019 should be accepting, because we live in a world that is very globalized and very open, and you can be learning from anywhere and from anyone. So academic qualifications are not the signature or the rubber stamp to pay somebody what they truly deserve, because it's not about what you're qualified to do, is what you're capable of doing. So you should be paid based on your output and what you're able to deliver. And if they can't give you the right salary based on what they're asking you to deliver, then they shouldn't hold back because you don't have this degree or this certificate next to your name. I have another question here. Going back to the any other duties. What if the job gives an awesome compensation package, but the other duties is a problem? Do you take it? So the any other duties section of the job description is standard. So anybody who is working, you're going to find it on your job description. Probably the only person that might not have it on their job description is a CEO, and that's because it's expected. So you need to set up parameters and set the parameters based on your brand. So if your brand is that you're always available and accessible, then you know that you're going to be available and accessible, so you respond to calls and so on. So any other duties related to calls that are not going to take your entire day, then fine. But when it comes to things that are going to take you away from your family, you know that you're not going to compromise on it, then that is where the any other duties would stop for you. So it really comes down to personal limitations, because if the organization is not honest and genuine in their care for you as an employee, and some aren't, then the onus becomes upon you now to take ownership of your own time and care for yourself by not being abused in the work environment. I'm just going to repeat the question for those of you who are just joining. The person said, why don't Caribbean employers like to post salaries when they're advertising jobs? I recently applied for a job and the recruiter was tight-lipped about the salary offer. I shared my salary expectations, and after going through a very long interview process, the offer came and it was way below market value. I felt like I wasted my time. Why would they do this? Don't allow recruiters to waste your time as well. After you've gone through at least the second stage of an interview and already they're not able to tell you what the salary the projected salary for the role is, then you need to step away or let them know that you want to be clear that these are your salary expectations, and if it is not in this range, they need to let you know so that you're not wasting their time as well. Have another question here. I feel ambushed when I am asked about my salary in an interview and when it was not advertised. How do I navigate that? I was sharing earlier that it's important for you going into the interview, while you're doing your research on the company, also do research on what salary you want going into the job. So when you get into that interview, don't be shy about making it very clear what your salary expectations are. For me, I like to do a ballpark figure to say, well, looking at what the description of the role is and hearing more about it, ideally I would not be able to accept the offer for anything under this figure. And you state what that figure is. Try to be reasonable and don't go high end in the market. I like to start at the mid range based on what salaries in other areas, in other islands, in other countries. So don't just take salary information from Jamaica, or if you're in Barbados, from Barbados. Take comparative salary information and share that. Give them the opportunity, if you're good enough, to compete for you to probably go higher than what you expected in terms of the salary. I have another question here from True. Reapplying for jobs, if I don't meet all the job requirements, should I still apply if I consider myself adaptable and a fast learner? Yes, apply. Don't talk yourself out of the job opportunity, because most ads are posted with just a rough sketch of what they think the appropriate employee would look like, right? But recruiters in this day and age are very open to persons who don't have all the skills that they need. They try to be very broad, but sometimes they're not broad enough in their description in the role. But apply nonetheless if you have the interest and the passion. Just be very deliberate in when you're writing your resume, you're putting your resume together. Highlight those skills that they speak to in the job opportunity that you might already have, or exposure to it that you already have, and then write a smashing cover letter that just sells you better than an Eskimo can sell ice. Another question here. You are in a job that initially you were happy, now it's filled with toxicity, little to no growth, and monotonous. You request a change and it is shut down. Should you respond, knowing the manager can be facetious and cold? Okay, that's a hard one. Be careful in your response. Personally, I wouldn't necessarily respond knowing that the manager can be facetious and cold. If the work environment is toxic, then that's not somewhere that you need to be. Contrary to popular belief, the job market is very positive right now. And if you are setting your sights outside of your current domain, meaning if you're looking for job opportunities outside of your country of residence, then you have nothing to worry about. You will land a job. Just put yourself out there and other opportunities will come. And you can also prepare yourself to be a little bit more entrepreneurial, because you don't want to suffer in a toxic environment, because at the end of the day it only kills your career, and you will find that your growth is stunted, and as an employee you stop learning, because you've already left the job, mentally you've resigned because the environment is so stressful and toxic, and your manager is just a difficult person to deal with. How I would respond to that situation is I wouldn't request a change through my manager. build your network within the organization. So if it is that you still want to stay there, but you want to be a part of another team because the toxicity is in that team and not in the organization as a whole, reach out to another manager, connect with other departments where you see yourself being able to fit in. And as you connect with those other teams and other departments, help them to understand your value, right? Try not to allow it to take away from your deliverables, because at the end of the day, you don't want anyone to say that you're not an employee who delivers and gives out good quality work. So on your current team, continue to work hard and respond to the targets set to you by achieving them, but also spend time navigating the workspace. The workspace is a very good place to network, and if you're in an organization that allows for upward mobility, if there are new opportunities popping up from time to time, each organization goes through phases, so you might have people resigning. It's important to position yourself. A good place to position yourself is to try and learn from persons who are retiring soon. For persons who are retiring soon, they might be in a desk or carrying out a function that they're the only one in the organization that knows how to do it. Latch on to them if you want to get a foot in and a step up. Latch on to them and learn what they're doing, learn their job, learn their role, learn their function, so that when they step out, then the company is looking around like, who is going to replace John? Oh, well, I'm here. I learned from John. Have another question here. There are times when your immediate supervisor has the tendency to throw you under the bus. Oh, I know that life, especially in cases where this person fell short. How do you handle it? All right. First off, let me say, you're always going to be in an organization. Everybody is going to come to that point in their career when you know more than your boss. And if your boss is a little insecure or feels threatened by you, that may not end well for you. If they are constantly throwing you under the bus, then it's important to keep record of everything. Cover your ass? Yes, cover your ass. Be very detailed in your documentation, because the same effort that they use to throw you under the bus is the same effort that they're going to use to take credit for your work. So ensure that you're documenting not just in terms of what you're doing in the organization, but documenting on platforms like LinkedIn what you have achieved and what your contributions have been, because that is information that other recruiters are going to use when you're moving on from that place, because we're not going to believe that you're going to stick with this boss who's throwing you under the bus forever. Another question here: how do I know how much I'm worth? How do I determine this? When you look at the job that you want, that's how you determine what you're worth. Looking at the job that you've set your sights on. So I want to be a marketing executive, and I realize that the average salary of marketing executives range from if it's in Jamaican dollars to between 500,000 to 600,000 monthly. And I know that I don't have a degree in marketing, but I have extensive experience working on X number of marketing campaigns. Decide if you have, you should know if you've led these campaigns, you've been a part of these campaigns, what you're able to contribute, and then look at what the salary scale is, high end, low end, and decide where you are. Look at also what your last job has been. That's a good picture, because everybody should know what they value on an hourly rate for a particular task. What if you have a good relationship with other departments, but to move, you must get the release from your manager? They block it. How do you handle this? That's a tough one. Some organizations still abide by the philosophy where an employee is selected for a promotion or a new opportunity, they have to be released by their manager. If your manager sees you as a top performer and they are using your success as their stepping stone to their own promotions, then it's going to be hard for you to leave from under their wing. And the best advice I can give you is to go outside of the organization, leave the organization before you come back in. Another option is reach out to your HR department, because they may be able to maneuver, I wouldn't say strong arm, but they may be able to find a loophole in the situation to get you that promotion. So if your organization has a business partner, model, or HR coordinator, or a recruitment advisor within the HR department, reach out to them and share what the issue is and see if they can assist you in making the transition. Another person you can reach out to is the hiring manager in the department that you got the job offer from, to see if they can do anything to convince your manager to release you. When is the right time to resign? What is the wisest way to go about this process? So the best time to resign is when you already have a complete job offer and a job description from another role in hand. Assuming that you have already made a decision to go, do not delay in resigning, and ideally try to give the company no less than 2 weeks and no more than 1 month. If you're not in an executive level position, if you're more senior in the organization and you're managing critical projects, then it's important to give them at least 2 months, because there needs to be a handover process and you most likely will need to be a part of selecting your successor. The process is simple. If you have a very good relationship with your boss, meet with your boss, let your boss know that, listen, I've gotten this opportunity and I will be resigning, and then send in your resignation letter. If the relationship is not the best, simple, send your resignation letter to the HR department and copy your manager. You should always submit it to your HR department. Remember, when you're leaving a company, you're leaving the company, you're not leaving your boss, or you're not leaving your co-workers or other persons in the department. Something that I want to touch on, which happens quite a bit, is that when persons are leaving, is especially if they've had a bad experience at the company, sometimes they send out these emails where they're bearing their soul and them cuss off who them for cuss off, and them tell about everybody and everything where them a leave behind, and to hell with you. Don't do it. It gets around, and what some people fail to realize is, as HR professionals, the Caribbean is very small, Jamaica is a very small island, and people talk. The information gets out, and it can affect, and I've seen it affect, when someone is going to a new company, when they catch wind of the behavior. Don't burn your bridges. It never serves you in the long run. What do you do when your HR department is intimidating staff, meaning staff are not comfortable talking to them? That's a hard one. With all things crashing down in an organization, you should always be able to talk to your HR department or someone in your HR department. As Andre is saying, no, confidentiality is very important. Confidentiality is critical in HR, so you should be comfortable speaking to them. If it has eroded, I would say if your organization has a strong unionized environment, then reach out to one of your union delegates to gain support from them and confide in them with what is happening. You can also reach out to other HR professionals for advice on specific situations and cases, because you're going to also want to be very cautious in what you share and what you say and what you do. If you have more questions, Sash, you can reach out to me directly and I can give you some advice on that. As Andre is mentioning here, confidentiality is important. How do you handle it if confidentiality is breached? Andre, I want to ask you, is this breach of confidentiality from HR? Have you shared something with is it that you would share something with an HR department and they breached your confidentiality by sharing it with others? If it is breached, then the first step, and this might, you can either choose not to say anything about it and use it as a life lesson and just not share anything with them again, or depending on how big an issue it is, the level of the breach, I would report it, because there must be some reprieve. It can't be that everybody in HR is just not worth or not worthy of talking to. There must be somebody, probably it's your HR director or your HR VP or your senior HR executive, that you can reach out to and share with them. Say, hey, listen, this happened, there was a breach in confidentiality, and there's a problem in the department, and I'm not willing to come. If you want to maintain your confidentiality because of fear of being victimized, then you mention that as well. But it is something that I would document because it needs to be fixed. It definitely needs to be fixed. We're just rolling down to 1 minute to go. I stated earlier that this is a half-an-hour program, and I'll be back here again next month, same time, BestFit Fridays. Sending you questions. If I didn't get to answer them all, you can still connect with me on Instagram. And if you want to have some more direct connection, you can check out my website, rochellejames.org. That's ROCHELLEJAMES.org. And I am more than happy to answer all your HR questions. One tip before I go that you should all have: if you're on LinkedIn and you have been dormant on LinkedIn, bad you need to get your LinkedIn page updated. If you are in the job market now, it's the perfect time for you, because a lot of persons make career shifts in December, January, and September, October. So you are right on time to search for a new job opportunity. And the first way to do that is to update your LinkedIn page. So again, the tip for this month is make sure your LinkedIn page is up to date. Thank you all for tuning in to BestFit Fridays. I really enjoyed the questions. I enjoyed sharing with you, and I look forward to sharing with you again next time. Bye.